She's been out of England for maybe 2 years now.
So she has another child then?
She has another child because one of the reasons she went was because she faced having the child removed at birth for the fact that she was beat up. All right? Yeah, look, it's mad. It is mad. It really is mad.
Yes,
you know,
it is mad.
And the fact that people tolerate it is a bit shocking, but there you go.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you say, well, let's have a look at what's the best interests of the child, you'd say, well, he's all right in school in Ireland, why don't you leave him there? But the view of the authorities in England is the authorities must win. And they don't care about the child. And I put to the government, I said, wouldn't it be better to transfer jurisdiction for this case to Ireland and let the case be dealt with in Ireland? And they can check he's safe and make sure he's all right. They don't want to do that because in Ireland they would never do this sort of thing. This is the Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland.
Which, of course, has similar laws to us, I believe.
Similar laws to us. I don't think they're as mad in Northern Ireland as they are in England and Wales, where they are completely off their rocker.
And you don't hear that every day.
But they are. The sort of things that go on. And the removal of mental capacity. There's a case in the European...
John, I'm going to have to break in there because we're going for a break now. We'll be back with John Hemming here shortly, and we'll see you very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest, John Hemming. John, just before the break, you were telling us about Ireland and how its laws differ from the laws of Northern Ireland, Wales and England and so on. Yeah. Is Scotland any different?
Scotland's a lot better, and one of the reasons why Scotland's a lot better is they have a thing called the Children's Panel, which is a form of jury. But I'm not saying Scotland is that good, I'm just saying it's a lot better than England and Wales. You've got various tiers of courts that can have an effect. The bottom level is the Family Proceedings Court, which is basically the Magistrates' Court. Then above that you've got the County Court or the High Court, right, which is what normally makes final decisions. And then that can be appealed to the Court of Appeal. And from the Court of Appeal you can either go directly to the European Court if you don't get permission to appeal in the Court of Appeal, or you can go via the House of Lords if you do get permission to appeal in the Court of Appeal.
But can you automatically get legal aid to do that?
Generally not. What happens is there's hurdles put in the way of people taking it through the system. So there's a question, and the Article 3 question is a very interesting question. And basically, Article 3 of the European Convention of Human Rights is that you shouldn't inhumanely treat people and you shouldn't torture them and things like that. Now, it's a question as to what extent can you remove a baby at birth from a mother who's otherwise never hurt her children, all right? So a case of domestic violence, right? Mom has not hurt her children, but you want to take her baby at birth because she was a victim of domestic violence. Now, is that inhumane treatment? Now, I would argue that is inhumane for the mother, and I think it's inhumane for the child as well. Because there is a long-term question about adoption, because not everybody who's adopted is happy about having been adopted.
No.
All right? That without us looking at the wider issue of the outcomes for kids who have been adopted.
Well, they're not given a choice, are they?
They're not given the choice, no. It's there are different people take different views, and the problem is there's individuals, and you know, the adoptive process. If you take the Webster's case as a good one too, the people who are victims of the miscarriage of justice there are the Websters themselves, their child Brandon. They've got Mrs. Webster's pregnant at the moment. Their 3 children who've been taken away from them, and the 2 sets of adoptive families who are adopting them and assumed that these children couldn't stay with their parents and they could be adopted, and find out in retrospect, in fact, it's all a miscarriage of justice.
So there are 2 sets of families?
Yes, because they took the 2 older children with one family.
Yeah.
One absurd case I've got in the north is where grandmother is allowed the 2 older kids but not the baby.
Why is that then? Because they think she's not competent to look after a baby?
Well, it's very, very difficult. And you imagine the effect on the older children, that they've had baby with us and suddenly they're told their sister or brother, I can't remember on this one, but they're told their sibling can't stay with them, and they start blaming themselves for the fact their sibling's been taken off them. Now, in that case, Mom has had some serious problems and Granny should be looking after the kids. But I can't fathom out for the life of me why, if Mom can look after the 2 older kids, Granny rather, she's not allowed baby.
It is intolerable cruelty, isn't it?
It is evil. It's really evil. The system is massively evil. The worst, in my view, is the mental capacity thing. And I got a big slagging off from two Lord Justices, Lord Justice Thorpe and Lord Justice Wall. Lord Justice Thorpe is the Deputy President of the Family Division, over a case which is now in the European Court, and you can look it up. You can find it on my weblog. You can find all the European Court stuff. It's called RP versus the United Kingdom. And it's a case about mental capacity. Now, this was a situation, and you can look up the judgment so you can follow a lot of this. This was a situation where Mom had baby very prematurely, and baby wasn't at all well. And Mom was thought to be a bit thick. And so they decided to take baby off Mom. They went a step further, and Nottingham City Council, for it is they, part paid for a psychologist who said that Mom was so thick that she couldn't instruct a solicitor. All right? So, because she's so thick that she can't instruct a solicitor, an organisation called the Official Solicitor comes into our act as what's called a next friend. Mm-hmm. So in other words, they act on her behalf. And they read all the papers and say, well, you've had it, we concede the case. All right? So the case goes through 10-minute hearing. It isn't really a hearing, it's 10 minutes in the court. Well, that's it, your baby's going to be adopted. So she comes to see me with her brother. Well, physically, we emailed backwards and forwards, and we say, this is a bit odd. This is seriously odd. And we then appeal the case to the Court of Appeal. So she goes to the Court of Appeal and says, well, and she herself presents a case to the judges.
Without a solicitor this time?
Without a solicitor, with me there. I got serious slagging off.
Were you her MP?
No, I wasn't. Graham Allen's her MP, but he agreed that I'd do this because this is all quite specialist stuff. And I work with a lot of members of Parliament, John Barron, for instance, who's a Conservative. I've worked with Di Davis, who's an independent. I've worked with a lot of members of Parliament who are very concerned about what's going on.
So this MP, the one for Nottingham,